Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Hi, welcome to Silicon Valley Technology, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I have one of the premier architects in the Bay Area that's working on green projects, and Hari Sripadanna is working on some really interesting green projects, and I'd like to introduce him. Thank you for coming today.
It's a pleasure, Heather.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about what you do as an architect, and then we can move into your green project that you're doing.
I'm a lead designer and project architect for several commercial interior and retail projects. I have over 18 years of experience in the profession. I'm licensed in California, and I have a master's degree in architecture from Pratt Institute, New York. And I'm right now on a sabbatical, and as you mentioned, I'm building my own green building, LEED certified gold.
Well, I'm very impressed with your resume. I had no idea that you went back east there, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
And your project that you're doing an interesting LEED home.
Yes.
And it's the first one in Saratoga.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, this project is something obviously I've been dreaming for a lot of time and planned for it. I designed. It took about 6 months of design time, and over 8 months of construction time, and then with building permits and everything included, it took me about a year and a half of construction time.
And the permitting takes a long time because it's a new LEED type thing that the city probably didn't really know much about, right?
That's right. There were some issues, and I had to go to the extra long way to make sure to show them that I comply with the code requirements and everything.
And with all your experience as an architect, of course, you could make that extra long mile with this new LEED project that they really didn't have any experience working on before.
That's right. But they've been really supportive because when they hear that it's a green project, everybody understands why it's significant in these times, and they supported that.
So how long have you been working on the green project then? How long have you been working on this home?
As it took me about 6 months to design and about 8 months to build. Overall, about a year and a half of construction time.
And it's your own personal home.
That's
right.
right.
So did you have to move out of it for a little bit?
Yes, actually, this house itself is something that I saw had a good potential, and we were looking for a new house. So we never moved from an old house, and we bought this house for express purpose of constructing a new.
So that's what got you started then,
That's right.
You decided this would make a great green project.
That's right.
And so how long ago then, like 1990?
It started about, approximately, it took me a while to get the planning approvals, but the construction itself was about a year and a half ago.
And that's the key in any kind of project, right? Whether it be marketing or whether it be architecture, is planning, right?
Right,
and
right.
The more you plan, the better it's going to come out.
Right.
So I guess what's been your most challenging part of doing a LEED home then?
Overall, the process was smooth, I should say, really, because I've been planning this from the conception to be a sustainable design project. But I did have some difficulty getting the materials available, or sometimes the approving agency may look at, I had a recycling water system, and they weren't sure which code to apply, so we have to go extra length to show the research and prove them, and so there are minor issues. But overall, I think we have come of an age where it is possible for many of us to do a green design, and the industry has moved along with this process, and there's support from even technological point of view that it is quite possible for us to do sustainable design. Yeah, go ahead.
So I know the materials, I was fortunate enough to get to see your home, and using some recycled materials, the redwood that's in the home. It is redwood, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The reclaimed wood is quite common to be used in sustainable buildings. When I saw the old house, it had beautiful redwood. It was all covered in paint.
And your old house in Saratoga?
In
or
Saratoga,
okay.
yeah. And so when we removed each of these parts carefully, we preserved them, had them sanded and stained them back, and again used it for framing, and it's all exposed as you have seen in the pictures.
And you got LEED points for that, for
yes,
using
certainly.
And then the wood that's on the exterior and some of the interior, you also reclaimed that from somewhere in the city,
Yes,
right?
yes. We also there was a building they were bringing down, a 100-year-old building somewhere north of San Francisco.
Was it a large building or a home?
Yeah, it was an older home, and they were selling the wood for siding. So immediately I seized the opportunity and then bought that.
How did you find out about the wood?
It was on the Craigslist.
Craigslist, of course. Great place to find recycled and reusable, sustainable products.
That's right.
So is there something else that on the project as far as and the process that was a little bit challenging that you could tell us about and you would like to share about that? And I know as an architect it's probably a little easier for you than most of us to even think about starting a project like this and having the check-off list that you have to do with that process.
Right. I would say as from the conception, if you can think of the design as a sustainable design, as far as orienting the building, placing the windows, or the mechanical and ventilation system, any of these, if you start from the beginning and think about those things, further down the road, it should not be a problem, because green building industry has come up such a long way, and there's such good support and resources available now that most of us should be able to do within a reasonable budget. It should not be an extraordinary effort to do a green building anymore.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the design aspects of the home and how that worked with it?
As I mentioned, when I saw this site, it has this predominant east-west orientation, and it has the side yard on the south side, which is quite large.
So west facing more towards Santa Cruz.
That's right.
And more sun.
More sun. So, and it also had this redwood trees, mature redwood trees on the west side, which would offer a lot of shade from the west sun in the summer. So this offered a good potential for me to orient the building properly according to the sun.
And most people don't really think about the orientation of a building when you're trying to make it more energy efficient or green.
That's right, because orientation really doesn't cost you much. It's true sometimes you're limited by orientation because the site itself is in a certain way.
Maybe trees or other buildings that are taller.
Right. Yeah. But if some simple principles like this, if you follow from the beginning itself, green building should not cost you that.
Which again, as an architect, you would know those simple principles that as average people don't really know about that. So.
Right. They should hire an architect.
Exactly. So is there other aspects as far as the design that you'd like to tell us about?
Sure. And so the context of this building, there are the Northern California contemporary buildings, Eichler buildings, are surrounded around my house.
And
so,
is this an Eichler too?
Yeah, it's similar to an Eichler.
Kind of an Eichler look.
Yeah, these are pre-Eichler, and so the context is very similar. And in those days, they used many of these ideas for sustainability, even that time, but the technology didn't catch up at the time. So when they did radiant heating, for example, radiant heating is a warm water that runs into your concrete floor and heats the building. And they used steel pipes, and they corroded and failed. And so people didn't understand radiant heating could be possible. But now they use a PEX pipe, which is a plastic flexible pipe. You can run 200 feet long without leaking.
So it's kind of like a PVC pipe then that's plastic then?
That's right. Okay. And so that's embedded into a concrete and it works beautifully. And so the technology has come along for all those concepts that they have tried 50, 40 years ago.
Well, and radiant heating is something that they tried in the 60s and the 70s, but again, it's something that also they used in the Roman bathhouses, right? The radiant heat coming up from...
That's right. Yeah. This is a very ancient concept.
Which they didn't use steel pipes then. They used, I don't know what they used. You probably would know.
Right.
Bricks.
Clay probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So ideas like that or natural ventilation, for example.
And so that's older ideas that they're kind of retooling now to make things more energy efficient.
Right. And technological advances have made that possible. Going back to the design, so with that context, I started the house using similar vocabulary, similar ideas for the situation, and then added on to new ideas as far as how we can use natural ventilation, how we can use the house. For example, if you see in this section here,
you got some boards here that we can look at the yeah.
Right. If you can see the lighting from the southern side, because the winter sun is a low angle winter sun,